Yo.
Yo, what's good?
All right, damn. My bad. I messed up. Yo, yeah. All right, so, we got to get started. Yeah. All right, so you should go first on your Warriors pick.
You want me to go first, huh? Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. It's really not too complicated to me. I mean, obviously the Warriors lose their depth. I mean, which was really beneficial to them last year in the playoffs. But really, what I think it comes down to is a fully loaded squad. I mean, what's the main thing? They were minutes away from winning Game 7 last year in the finals. You got a healthy Steph Curry with something to prove this year. You got Draymond, who's a dog, who really wants to kill them because he obviously feels that he is the reason why they lost due to the suspension. So you got that. And then there's Kevin Durant, the next best. You add KD. I mean, it's terrible, but it happened, and that's a lot of firepower there. I mean, the Warriors are a little weak inside. I mean, LeBron's going to have a red carpet lane to the basket. He's going to be the best player on the floor the whole series, but he's not going to be able to do it himself. I mean, if the Cavs get hot, I think they'll extend the series with the shooters and everything. Kyrie will have his games. That's why it's going to go at least 6 games. And I think the Warriors have to close out in 6 because I wouldn't want to see LeBron James in a Game 7 of the finals because we've seen it. I had to look it up today. He hasn't lost a Game 7 since I think it was like 2008 against the Celtics. Yeah, it was like 2008 against the Celtics.
2010, something like that.
Yeah, no, but 09, because 09, 010, I think they lost in less games, but in 08 they lost in Game 7. But we'd have to fact check that, something like that. But since then, when the final game is on the line, it's hard to bet against Bron. That's why I think the Warriors will win in 6. And they're gonna win in Cleveland. I think that's what it's gonna come down to. And unfortunately, they're not gonna be able to win in their home court because that didn't happen last time. But hey, Cleveland's there. I think Cleveland's their spot to win it. Your turn.
All right. So I'm gonna start off like this for people who don't know. First of all, I am a LeBron fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. I was happy that he won last year. I didn't even think that he was going to win last year. So I feel like Stephen A. I do want the Cavs to win, and I do think they can pull an upset. But my logic and from what I've been watching tells me the Warriors are going to win. I'm going to say in 6 games, it might end in 5. I'm going to give it 6 out of respect. And hopefully this pisses off LeBron and the rest of them and they upset. But logically and objectively, I just cannot pick the Cavs. And one thing that really stuck out for me was I watched on YouTube the game on Christmas and then the other game, I think that was back in January or February. It was one of those 2 months. But basically the game in December on Christmas, basically the Warriors had the game. They had the game even in the 4th, and they gave up a really big
that game
lead.
was there.
Yeah, so that tells me, along with what they did the second time around, they should win this series. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a blowout in one of these games. I hope it's not, but it's just too much. Yeah, they don't have the same depth as last year, but their bench is really not that bad to me. Honestly, I think their bench is going to actually surprise some people in this series. Hopefully,
I mean, they still have their pillars of the bench, like Livingston and Iguodala. I mean, you still got them. So that's
the younger guys like Clark and there's
Ian
another
Clark,
dude. I think
nice.
Dude. Like, they played pretty solid. So it's not like, oh, they had such a dramatic drop-off. Like, yes, it on paper, it looks like a dramatic drop-off. But if you watch them throughout the season, especially in the playoffs, like, they progressed and they got more confident. The thing that would make me question the Warriors right now is just the fact that they have had less of a pushback than Cleveland has. And I'm not saying that Cleveland has had, like, a big challenge or anything like that in the East, but at least in the first round, every game was pretty much tight. There was like 2 games against the Raptors that was kind of like a little back and forth, but you knew they were going to win. And then obviously they lost to the Celtics once, and then it kind of, well, it was a tight game the next game until Kyrie went crazy into the third quarter. But I would say this too for the Warriors. If they do somehow manage to be up 3-1 again, the pressure is really going to be on for them to win whatever that next game is. So if they're like up 3-1 and it's game 5, like, nah, they have to win game 5 or else I think they might lose the finals again. Because in their mind and everybody else's mind, they're going to be like, uh-oh, here we go again. Like, they're about to lose this lead. So I think they'll pull it out in 6. Even though, like I said, I do want the Cavs to win, but I just can't pick them. I just feel like with the 4 of them healthy, I think the person who has the chip on their shoulder the most is not Durant. I actually think it's Draymond, because Draymond knows had he not got himself in trouble, they would have won the championship last year. So I think he wants it more than the other guys, to be honest. I know Curry wants to prove that he is the MVP that he was the last 2 years prior to this. So I know he wants to prove that, Kyrie and all that. But, yeah, I think Draymond is going to be I think he's going to turn it up. And, like, Durant always scores. Like, Durant has never had, like, a LeBron type of, like, collapse, like, against the Mavericks and stuff. Like, he's always scored, like, around 25, 28. So I think he's going to do the same. Another concern I would have is Klay. I think Klay might be able to shoot his way out of the slump in this series. We'll see what happens. But I just think it's too much firepower, and the Cavs are going to really have to play defense. I'm pretty sure the refs are going to let them be able to, like, bank on them for a couple of games, but it's not going to be like that the whole series. So I just think they're going to get wore down. Like, I think LeBron and them are going to get wore down within this series, and then the Warriors are going to end up winning. And I probably will. I think Durant's going to end up winning MVP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's what I think so too. I think Curry's going to have a few games where he struggles, and then Durant will be the one to kind of close the deal. So I think consistently Durant will be able to maintain those numbers to get the MVP. And another thing, too, is, like, the redemption. I mean, that's huge. We haven't seen the same team back-to-back in the finals since the Bulls and Jazz. And, I mean, I'm not sure if that's even happened before, because when the Lakers and Celtics used to go, they used to alternate. So, I mean, that alone, like, when you're going after somebody for redemption, there's more of that, like, that plays a factor in it. And I think Cleveland's kind of, I mean, they're happy that they won last year. I mean, so they know they're playing with house money. If they lose, it's not the end of the world. So I think
it is not the end of the world. I do agree with you on that point. But the thing is, the media has been trying to promote LeBron as literally the best ever. So, yes, this is another legacy game. But that's the thing. But they're also building up his excuse. They're also building up his excuse for if he loses, it's like, boom, you see the odds 200 to 100. Like, LeBron was overmatched. I mean, they got Kevin Durant. Like, they got that storyline. I bet Nick Wright already has what he's about to say right now. Shout out to Nick Wright. I bet he's already got that whole thing lined up. So, I mean, the narrative is all good. Either way, I mean, if he wins, oh my God, it's a colossal. He's the man. It's 1-1A with him and Jordan. They say. I mean, I would still like to see for him to be on the same level as Jordan. I need him to win this year and next year. But that's besides the point. I told my homie Matt this. look, Jordan is always going to be the best to me. I mean, that 6 for 6 is just hard to beat, especially in the 90s. But if he was to win this finals, be able to repeat, and the media does claim him as the best, I'm not going to necessarily argue against it. I don't agree with it. I don't. But I'm not going to argue against it. Like, it's going to be crazy, like, if he's able to actually pull this off against all 4 of these dudes in their prime. But, yeah, I agree with you. Like, Kyle Hurd and Nick Wright, like, yeah, they've got this all mapped out. If LeBron wins this, well, you know what? Nick Wright already has LeBron as the best already. But it's Kyle Hurd.
He does, man. He's the best I've ever seen. Yeah, he does, man. It's crazy. And the funny thing is, I was watching something earlier, and what they really need to stop doing is comparing Jordan and LeBron at the ages. Like, can we seriously stop and not act like LeBron came to the league 3 years younger? Like, that needs to stop. But, I mean, shit, well, LeBron's doing 7 finals in a row. I mean, potentially 8 next year, 9 the year after. Like, it's unheard of.
Yeah, it's definitely unheard of. I mean, that adds his legacy. I mean, to me, his legacy is already solidified, but now it's just a matter of, like, where are you going to put him when it comes to the all-top 10. So, yeah.
Yeah, and how he ends his career, because that is something that he can do to separate himself from Kobe. Because, I mean, I can't put LeBron over Kobe until I see him finish his career. Like, I need to see how everything ends, all the factors considered, we throw it all at the table. So I'm saying what he can do to separate himself from Kobe is end on a great note, end on a winning team. Like, so we'll see how that pans out. But I think it should be interesting.
Yeah, I agree too. I don't think he's better than Kobe either. But, like, the thing about sports is that it's so subjective that, like, you can pretty much create your own narrative no matter how crazy it sounds to try to justify who you feel is the best and the reason why. Because, like they always say, like, Bill Russell won the most championships, but we don't call him the best because he wasn't in the same era, where Jordan and Shaq and Hakeem and David Robinson and Alonzo Mourning, I could keep going on, but he wasn't in that era. But at the same time, you can't blame him. So, I mean, like, if you're great, you're supposed to dominate your era. So, like I said, I still have Jordan because I do think that's the hardest era, the 90s. Like I said, going 6 for 6, I still think he would have gone 8 for 8. That's a whole nother story for another day. But, yeah, like, I've never been one of those people that, like, hated LeBron. I didn't even hate LeBron when he went to Miami because I wanted him to win a championship. I'm like, dude, like, you're stuck with Mo Williams and Boogie Gibson and all this crap. I'm like, dude, no. Like, they're not going to help you get these guys, and you need to go somewhere else to get some help. I mean, yeah, it did look crazy at first with Wade and Bosh, but the thing was, like, with Wade being injured, he carried the team as if they were Cleveland. So, like, it justified itself. Whereas, like, with Durant, that's not going to happen. Like, he's the one that got injured, and then Curry just went MVP mode while Durant was out.
Yeah. No, I do agree. Hindsight, it wasn't that bad. Looking at it at the time, because, I mean, we only had Dwayne Wade. He only had Dwayne Wade, like, 1 year in his prime, really, the first year, and they lost. And then the years after that, he was hurt in and out of the lineup. So, yeah, you're right. LeBron did have to kind of carry that. But at the time, it was, like, unheard of because we thought it was going to be something crazy. But what Durant is doing or did,
no, that's wild. Yeah. Like, that's really
it's not
wild.
It's not comparable at all. It's not comparable at all.
I guess it's really wild. Like, yeah, that's like, dude, that's like if I'm trying to. That's like, okay, let's say that you felt like Jay-Z beat Nas, and then Nas signed directly with Rockefeller, like, right after that. That's how it felt. It was like, damn, like, how you take the L and then go to someone that you lost to, like, just like that. And then it was like he's trying to justify it. But it's like, dude, the only way you can really justify this, it will never really be justified, but the only way that you kind of can is if you win a bunch of championships, and on top of that, you're like the finals MVP in like multiple of them. Then it'll kind of like outweigh itself, like when we look back, like in a historical way. But as of right now, it's going to look crazy no matter what, because like you're the favorites. All the pressure is literally on him and Curry. Like, the pressure is literally on them. Like, they have to get this done. You dodge a bullet named Kawhi Leonard because Zaza Pachulia tripped him over or whatever the case may be. So it's like, you have – and to be honest, this is kind of reminiscent of their first run because there was a lot of injuries on the other teams that they dealt with. Like when they went against the Grizzlies and Mike Conley wasn't there. So there's certain stuff like that's kind of like familiar, like similar to their first time like going to the finals together. So I don't know. Like, luckily everybody's at full strength. Hopefully it stays that way throughout the whole series, so there's no excuses. But yeah. It's going to look crazy. And because we're in the internet era, like whoever loses, those memes are going to be wild. Like it's just going to, like it's going to be, it's almost, well, depending on who loses, it's going to be worse than last year's. Like if the Warriors lose, it's going to be worse than last year's, which is saying a lot.
Oh, yeah. If the Warriors lose, they might all have to book trips just internationally on an island somewhere because it's going to be bad. But
if they lose, like, man,
Kevin Durant,
like Durant, especially him, like I don't care, he gotta leave, he gotta leave. But I do want to get this narrative out there because I spoke about this with Mikal several times, so he knows this. If the Cavs do lose, which I think is going to happen, somehow, some way, I think they're going to get either Carmelo or like Chris Paul. Something crazy is going to happen. Like they're going to push the narrative because you already just like you talked about earlier. Like they're going to push the narrative that LeBron didn't have enough or whatever the case may be. So here's going to be the league pushing. Okay, we got to get him a fourth star. All right, let's go. Let's get Carmelo there. So now it's going to be them four versus the other four in next year's finals. Something crazy. They're gonna do something crazy, dude. Like something wild.
I see Carmelo. I see Carmelo doing that. Like I could see that.
And it was
definitely
so
not
stupid
Chris
on
Paul,
paper.
though. You know where speaking of Chris Paul, man, if he goes to the Spurs next year, they're my pick to win it all.
Yeah, they win
they're
it
my
all.
pick to win it all.
I don't care what nobody says. They're gonna win it all.
That's my pick. But to make that truly happen, they're gonna have to do some things that are uncharacteristic to the Spurs way. You got to get rid of Tony Parker because for cap reasons it doesn't make sense, and Ginobili has to retire.
They're gonna have to let go of Patty Mills as well.
You can have Patty Mills off the bench because he's that guy that spreads that floor, which is lethal in today's game. And, I mean, Patty Mills is a solid role player of theirs. So if you can still, because if Tony Parker's taking up $14 million or whatever it is, and if you lose Ginobili, I mean, you probably need to trade away one other player, and that's already enough to re-sign or to sign Chris Paul. But they also need to figure out something with Aldridge because I don't know what's going on with that situation, but, I mean, I think it could work itself out. They'd still be my pick. Because I think Aldridge would be
Chris Paul is going to help out the Aldridge situation because, dude, he pissed me off the most in the league. Like, dude, you're 7 feet and you don't want to post. You just want to hit 15-footers all the time. Like, that's ridiculous. But Chris Paul,
he's fucking talented, and he's talented he's so talented around the basket. Like, I remember his last year in Portland when he dropped 40 2 consecutive games against Houston. Like, he was balling. Like, he was the top 10 player. But now he's
Dude, he
like,
went crazy. He went crazy against Houston in the closeout game this year. So that tells you that he's either being stubborn. It's something. He's being selfish because it's like you couldn't do that when Kawhi was there, but now you're going to do that when Kawhi's not there.
yeah, I think he's
Like,
just something with. I think he was just playing more free, like especially when he was in Portland. He just seemed to be more free, but. I don't know. I mean, with Chris Paul, he'd be a solid third option anyways. Like LaMarcus Aldridge is definitely a third option on a championship-winning team. So that
unfortunately, yeah,
unfortunately, but he easily is like with Chris Paul in there. But where does Tony Parker go? You know, they have to agree to something like, okay, Tony, where do you want to go? Like. It'll probably be his last year, too, because you can't restructure. It's not the NFL. So I don't know.
Yeah,
probably somewhere.
Yeah. Like you're saying, like they're gonna have to do some uncharacteristic things, but they don't really have a choice, in my opinion, because we're just in this little era, this fad where it's like, you know what, I go join the best team. Forget about trying to build with someone else. Like, no, I'm going to go join the team that's already winning. So, I mean, like, if Chris Paul really wants to win, yeah, you need to make that happen. Go to San Antonio. You can make the other money back somehow with all these commercials. You're already doing these commercials, and you're not going to be taxed. Like, you're going to be in Texas or wherever, San Antonio. So, like, you're not going to be taxed. Go and take the money because you're going to take $200 million to stay with the Clippers and be a first-round exit. No, thank you.
Yeah. What I do think is with the whole increase of the cap space and the NBA getting these ridiculous contracts now is I think we're going to really see the true characters of these players, if they're really about the money or winning, because there's plenty of options. Like you could definitely take pay cuts and make more than max dollars 5 years ago. So I think that's going to be something to take a look at also.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah, we're really about to see. We're going to see what Gordon Hayward's made of. We're really about to see what's up with him. Because he has a chance to stay with Utah, or he could be with the Celtics and try to be the quote unquote team to take out the Cavs. So yeah, I agree with that too.
And like, cause Chris Paul, I mean, if he stays in LA and makes those max contracts, because you know he can make more with the current team he's with, then you know he's just content. Because I do wonder how long the Clippers are going to like Blake Griffin, like what's up with DeAndre's there for a while, but what's up with all that, man? Because if you lose Chris Paul, they're going back to the bottom. Lakers number one team in the league again, in LA again.
Yeah, we got 25 seconds left, man. So yeah, all right. So we both picking the Warriors to win in 6.
Warriors in 6.
The MVP as Durant.
Yep, MVP Durant.
All right, man.
All right.
Be out, man.
Hey,
we got to talk about the Raiders next, man.
Hey, Raider Nation, I got a lot to say, man. All right.
All right.